In today's video, I'll be showing you why converting here will skyrocket your net worth. And here means the most uncomfortable window of your life, when your income is temporarily low, but your accounts are still large. If you're new to the channel, hi, I'm Julia, certified financial planner. And through working with clients who resisted converting during this window, I've discovered that the people who avoid it feel comfortable early and stressed later, while the people who lean into it feel the pain for a couple of years to buy permanent flexibility. And that's exactly why I'm making this video today, to show you why this window matters so much and how paying taxes at a discount now changes everything that comes after. I'll be running through a case study, so be sure to stay through to the end, and let's get into it. Okay, so what is the here I'm referring to? Well, you might know this already, but it's the window that lies between retirement and claiming Social Security. And clearly, the earlier you retire, the more opportunity you have. At this point in time, your paycheck stops, but your retirement accounts are at their peak. And it's temporary because once Social Security, pensions, and RMDs begin, the window closes. Most retirees just drift through these years without realizing their worth and how much opportunity they're wasting. And the issue is twofold. One, most people are just unaware of how important this time frame is. And two, the ones that have an idea of their value don't want to pay taxes up front. It can feel wrong to voluntarily increase taxable income, and leaving the retirement accounts untouched feels safer. This emotional resistance is exactly why so few people take advantage of this window, even though it's often the most powerful planning opportunity they'll ever have. So this window feels uncomfortable, but let me show you why the math says you should convert anyway. During the years after you retire, but before Social Security starts, your marginal tax rate is often the lowest it will ever be again, especially if you have a lot of pre-tax money. It's lower than it was when you were working, when a full salary pushed you into higher brackets, and is also probably lower than it will be once Social Security begins stacking on top of portfolio withdrawals and other income. Later, required minimum distributions add income whether you need it or not, and that forced income pushes many retirees into higher brackets for the rest of their lives. Therefore, when you convert during this window, you're paying tax at a discount. You are choosing a known lower tax rate today to permanently remove money from future tax pile. That converted money will never be taxed again, and it will never create required distributions. The goal is not to eliminate taxes, but to pay them at the lowest rates we're likely to see. But here's the part that makes it so hard to actually do. You feel poorer before you start to feel richer, right? So here's what I mean. In the years that you convert, you do not feel richer. You are writing checks to the IRS, and on paper, your net worth will dip because you're choosing to pay taxes up front. This is because you're living off of your after-tax money and paying taxes with that money, while your IRA and Roth IRA balances look roughly the same. So you don't get that instant gratification that we get when we just pull from our taxable accounts first. We as humans are wired to avoid immediate losses, even when those losses lead to larger gains later. The tax payment is real, visible, and immediate. You see the money leave your account. And the future benefit, on the other hand, is abstract. It shows up years from now in the form of lower taxes, more flexibility, and fewer forced withdrawals. But because the pain is immediate and the reward is delayed, most people choose inaction. Because doing nothing feels safer than taking a known hit today for a benefit that is harder to see in the future. Okay, so now you see why conversions feel painful. If you need help building your dream retirement as a whole, click the link below to watch my free training where I'll show you exactly how to optimize your retirement plan so you can apply this to your own situation. Okay, so why would anyone pay taxes up front? Well, because 10 to 15 years later, the results look very different. Taxable income is lower because required minimum distributions are calculated on smaller traditional balances. Medicare costs are more controlled because income is more likely to stay under these IRMAA thresholds. Social Security is taxed less aggressively because there is less other income stacking on top of it. Withdrawals are more flexible, and portfolios often last longer because retirees are not being forced to pull out more than they need. It also increases your net worth, your net worth to be exact, which can break even much sooner than most assume. Remember that all future growth belongs entirely to the retiree, not the IRS. So in many cases, the taxes that would have been paid later at higher rates end up far exceeding the taxes paid upfront during the conversion years. So what once felt like a loss turns out to be a shift in timing that preserved more wealth over the long run and created far more control in retirement. Let me show you what I mean. Meet Paul and Lynn from Florida. They're 57 and 56 years old and have fully retired. They have $1.8 million in a traditional pre-tax IRA, $500,000 in a joint brokerage account, and $350,000 in a Roth IRA. They have no pension, so their only source of guaranteed income is Social Security, which won't be kicking in for a while. Paul's age 67 benefit is $3,600 and Lynn's is $1,400. Again, they have no income, and their expenses are $100,000 per year or $8,334 per month. We have them living to age 90. Let's take a look at their tax heat map to assess their tax liability with each withdrawal strategy. Okay, so pro rata is at the top. This means that you pull an equitable share of income from each tax type. So in Paul and Lynn's case, 68% of their net worth is pre-tax, 19% is after-tax, and 13% is tax-free. So they would pull 68% of needed income from the traditional IRA, 19% from their brokerage account, and 13% from their Roth IRA. If they followed this, their average tax rate, so not their marginal, but their average tax rate would be 13.35% per year. And their lifetime taxes in today's dollars would be $926,188. If they instead pulled from their after-tax brokerage, then their IRA, then their Roth, which is what most people would do, they would pay an average tax rate of 13.2% and would pay total lifetime taxes in today's dollars of $875,126. They could slightly reduce lifetime taxes by pulling from pre-tax first, as shown here below under the tax-deferred, taxable, tax-free scenario. But we're going to assume that they do what the lion's share of retirees do, which is conventional wisdom. After-tax first, then pre-tax, then tax-free. Below, we can see a number of Roth conversion strategies based on bracket and IRMA bracket if they converted between 2026 and 2030, so just the first 5 years of retirement. And we're going to choose the strategy that reduces lifetime taxes by over $500,000 in today's dollars without going too crazy, which is to convert up to the first Medicare bracket, and this is called the Roth conversions below IRMA bracket 1. We know that they're not subject to IRMA for several years, but it's still a very efficient conversion strategy, so we're going to use it. We can see that this reduces their average tax rate from 13.2% all the way down to 7.65%, and their total lifetime taxes by over $500,000 in today's dollars from roughly $875,000 to $337,000. In future dollars, if they live to age 90, they will save nearly $1 million in total lifetime taxes, and their net legacy will increase substantially as well. Now, that's not a goal of theirs, but it is a fact of doing Roth conversions during early retirement, or really Roth conversions anytime, right? Your net legacy will automatically increase if you live to average life expectancy or beyond. It's important to understand your break-even age on taxes paid before making any moves, and we can see here that Paul and Lynn will break even from a taxes paid perspective in 2047 or 21 years from now. This is a tax rate stay level, however, right? So if future taxes increase, that break-even age will be sooner, and if they decrease, it'll be later. Let's break down their tax charge to see the details of exactly when and where they'll save. A primary goal of Roth conversions is to smooth out tax rates over your life as opposed to a volatile increase at RMD age or sooner. Just looking at the total tax chart here, we can see that if they convert to Medicare IRMA bracket 1 between 2026 and 2030, the blue lines represents taxes paid with this strategy, so around $30,000 per year for 5 years. That is, both strategies pull from pre-tax bucket between 2031 and 2042, the taxes are identical. And then once 2043 hits RMD age, the conventional wisdom strategy starts to pay exorbitant amounts in federal tax and hidden taxes for the rest of their lives, while the conversion strategy only has modest tax bills. So let's look at this in more detail. Under the conventional wisdom strategy, we can see that they do not pay tax on the first 5 years of retirement as they are spending down their brokerage account. Now, I'm not saying that this strategy is not helpful for some, but in their situation, it doesn't make the most sense. Then in 2030, we start to see their tax liability increase. Then in 2043, it really starts to kick up. Keep in mind here that this is a tax rate stay level, as they are now. We can see that Medicare IRMA, net investment income tax, and long-term capital gains tax start kicking in 2048 and increase each year, sometimes substantially, for the rest of their lives. You can also see the effective or the average tax rate start from nothing to increasing all the way to just over 20%. Now let's look at the Roth conversion strategy. Right off the bat, we can see the average tax rate remain fairly steady throughout their life expectancy. We also see that they're paying around $30,000 in federal tax for the first 5 years before their taxes decrease for the rest of their lives. We can also notice that they're not ever subject to Medicare IRMA, and long-term capital gains tax and net investment income tax don't kick in until 2054, so that's a full 12 years after the conventional wisdom strategy. Paul and Lynn aren't convinced that tax rates will stay level or decrease, so they're excited to start this conversion strategy this year to avoid large future tax hikes. They also like the idea of fully owning more of their hard-earned savings. 100% of your tax-free accounts are yours, while you only own a percentage of your pre-tax accounts. So even though it's really tough to pay the taxes up front, it's worth it for them for this delayed gratification and lifetime tax savings. Okay, now that you see what skipping this window costs in the future, let's talk about what it takes to actually lean into the strategy now. The difference between those who convert and those who don't, it's not intelligence or income, it's their mindset. So retirees who convert accept short-term discomfort in exchange for long-term control. They trust the math even when their emotions are telling them to ignore it. They view the tax payment as an investment instead of a loss. Most importantly, they understand that the pain is temporary, but the flexibility lasts for the rest of their lives. The most valuable conversions usually happen when they feel the worst. Waiting for it to feel comfortable often means waiting until the window has already closed. Retirees who build real wealth and control in retirement are willing to lean into that discomfort while they still can. It does not feel good in the moment, but it fundamentally changes what comes next by giving you options instead of constraints for the rest of your retirement. So make sure you're looking at your situation from this angle and take the time to understand your lifetime tax liability and when certain taxes kick in with each strategy so that you have the information you need to make a smart decision for yourself. It's not simple, but it is worth it. Okay, now that you've seen why converting during the uncomfortable low-income window skyrockets your net worth and how paying taxes at a discount now means lower R&Ds, less Social Security taxation, controlled Medicare premiums, and a portfolio that lasts longer, you can stop waiting for it to feel right and start leaning into the window while it's still open. If you need help building your dream retirement, click the link below to watch my free training where I'll show you how to calculate exactly how to plan your dream retirement regardless of your situation.